What's up guys, Pop Black Pigs for Life here, and today we're doing something a little bit differently. So as you can see, we are in Planet Zoo, and we are going to be building a polar bear habitat. But while we do that, we are going to quickly talk about some of the problems that are going on with the polar ice caps. So to start, I know how much everyone, including myself, loves nice and warm weather. However, having sea ice in the North and South Pole is very crucial, as not only does it provide habitats for many animals that are adapted to the cold, such as polar bears, which we are building a habitat for in this episode, but it also influences how our oceans work. For instance, they help regulate the temperatures of the water, they regulate how salty it is, as well as allowing some of the currents that reach such northern and southern latitudes. On top of that, by keeping water as a solid form, there is less water in the ocean, and thus the sea levels stay relatively reasonable. So now that we know why the polar ice is important, now we are going to get into the problem that we are having. The ice caps are melting at an astonishing rate thanks to increased fossil fuel usage. Many people know that by burning fossil fuels, more and more carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere, causing the Earth to warm substantially. However, not many people know exactly how this is happening. You see, carbon dioxide is considered a greenhouse gas, meaning as we produce more and more carbon dioxide, the layer of greenhouse gases is becoming thicker and thicker, preventing more and more heat energy emitted by the sun from escaping back into space. This means that as less heat is being released back into space, the excess heat is causing the polar ice caps to melt at unprecedented rates. This is harmful in several ways because as there is now more liquid water in the oceans, this is causing sea levels to rise significantly. Since the late 1800s, the average global sea level has risen by about 9 inches. And while that may not seem like a lot, many scientists believe that in the next 100 years, the sea levels could rise another 2 feet, putting a massive strain on many island and coastal communities and cities, with many being prone to high amounts of flooding and excess damage caused by storms. Most notably, many different species of plants and animals will be affected by the rising of sea levels across the globe, as the expanding ocean will decrease the amount of lands that many coastal dwelling species will be able to live in. Of course, the melting sea ice has an extreme effect on the many Arctic and Antarctic species, such as polar bears, seals, penguins, and much more. In the case of polar bears, as the sea ice melts, they will be forced to travel farther and farther inland to find food, causing both disruptions in inland ecosystems, but also human-wildlife conflicts as they get closer and closer to civilization. While things may be looking down for both people and animals alike, we are still at the point where we can change things for the better. Many governing bodies can help reduce the amount of fossil fuels used by implementing new renewable energy sources. And no, I don't mean banning all fossil fuels at once. Instead, these changes need to be done gradually, such as making electric vehicles more common and affordable, implementing solar panels on buildings all across the world, making plastic items out of decomposable materials, and many other global measures. On top of that, there are plenty of things on an individual level that we can all do to help combat these issues, such as walking or biking when possible, or recycling plastic and paper items, just to name a few. However, the big takeaway from this is that if we're going to fix these issues, then we all need to agree that we have to change, both on a personal and global level. So now, with all that being said, let's take a look at this finished polar bear habitat. Alright guys, I am super happy with how this polar bear exhibit turned out. So as you can see, one thing I did do off camera is I just added in a couple of enrichment items for the polar bears. And as you can see, they've already had a little baby. Aww. And so one thing I love about this habitat is it's got like the perfect mix of, like, you know, their coastal habitat, but you've also got a little bit of inland areas. So, this little mountain range that you saw me place at the beginning of the time-lapse, I did not make. I got it from the Steam Workshop. So, because of that, I will make sure to link it down in the description. So, as you can see, we've got some more enrichment items. You've got a little viewing dome. They've got a little cave that they can go and sleep in. They've got some hills that they can climb, lots of trees. And then let's quickly see this thing from a guest point of view. So right over here, you can get a really nice view of the polar bears. Right over here, if we go this way, you've got a sort of ruined Viking ship. You know, adds a little bit of character to the exhibit, as well as that lighthouse over there. Both of those were meant to add in a little bit of characteristic. This is just the staff buildings, so this is where, like, the staff go to work. And then one thing I also really love is I love the rocks that split up the coastal area to sort of like the inland forest, hilly, grassy area. Don't know what I want to call it, but I love how this sort of line of rocks contrast between the two areas. And then you've got this area right over here. You've got the glass that you can see into the habitat, but then also right over here, hidden in the rocks, is the entrance to the viewing domes. Don't remember placing this sign. Look behind you. That's definitely not creepy. Alright. Whoa. What is going on over here? Well, looks like we're doing a reboot.